Hello everyone and welcome to Club Deck Corner here on Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. This week in Club Deck Corner we debrief another Old Firm disappointment and the rebuild starts now. I am Scott Carney, joining me tonight is Ali Pearson. How are you, mate?
Not too bad. Yesterday I felt absolutely horrific, to be honest. I was saying to Ryan off camera there, that's probably the worst. That's the worst hangover I've had in a long time, to be honest. I'm actually going to blame it, Carney, and the beers in where were we? Church in the Hill.
Church in the Hill, yeah.
Aye,
because
it
wasn't a tops, mate. So you were drinking full fat beer.
Wasn't tenants. So I'll blame it on that and Fashion Sakala as well. So there we go.
I've joined my club, mate, with blaming Fashion Sakala. And Ryan, it's good to see you back, mate.
Thank you, mate. Mister. Wish we were going to be speaking about something more positive or a positive result, but unfortunately not. I also had the same. I was spiked with a hangover as well, Ali, but I wasn't drinking the same pub as you, so I'm thinking it's maybe something to do with our team. But I will just go with the beer. We'll say it's the beer's fault.
I was actually very well behaved when I got home. I went home earlier than you did, and I'd stopped drinking. I just didn't drink. I had something to eat. I had a can of juice and went to my bed. So no, I was much more well behaved.
Mate, you're in good condition.
Yeah, I actually was productive yesterday. I actually managed to do things yesterday with my day off. So, all swings and roundabouts and all that. Right, before we get into it, shameless plug as always, to support the podcast reach the next level, you can join the channel for as little as 99p a month. You can also buy the podcast a coffee. Enjoy the Coffee Buying Legend membership via buymeacoffee.com. All the links are in the description for this podcast. And hurrah, we have made it past 4,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is absolutely ridiculous when you think about it. When we think about what we started off as, to get past 4,000 subscribers is tremendous. Really, really is brilliant. I cannot thank you enough for the support that you are giving the podcast, and I know that comes from the rest of the guys as well. So yeah, every cloud and all that, every cloud. So yeah, gents, tonight's agenda is pretty simple. A disappointment, Old Firm, defeat, and the rebuild of the current squad starts right now. I'm sure all of it will kind of roll into one, so we'll kind of get it done that way. I think we'll discuss different parts. However, just quickly, there has been another change at the club that was announced not long before we started recording. The statement said on the club website, Rangers can today confirm Academy Director Craig Mulholland has decided to leave the club at the end of the season. The 45-year-old has played a huge role in transforming the club's youth setup into a truly elite programme, which is now comparable with that of the top clubs in Europe. The statement does go on, however, there is parts of the comments from James Bisgrove that I would like to discuss. So on behalf of the board, this is what James Bisgrove said, on behalf of the board, I would like to sincerely thank Craig as he moves on, having transformed our academy into one which is on par with, even exceeds many clubs in Europe's biggest leagues. Craig will leave the club with a fantastic legacy, which includes the professionalisation of our women's programme, being the leader on the B teams, being introduced into senior Scottish football, creating our Beaucaire Academy Performance School, and having brought in over 15 million in academy player sales in the last 5 years. This is a bit I found quite a bit interesting. Together with Michael Beale, John Bennett and the board, I will now lead a thorough process to identify his replacement as we continue a wide-ranging transformation in all areas of the football club. Ali, I'll come to you first. That's the first time that you've heard what Bisgrove had to say. I wish Craig Mulholland all the best in the future. I do. I think there's some aspects that he's got pretty spot on. I think the success of both teams that he kind of oversees is lacking slightly. The women's team, for one, I think the amount of money that was put into that, it's not really reaped the rewards as of yet. I think the future will still be promising for the women's team, but the comments on pretty much the wide-ranging transformation of all areas of the football club. It's another change at the club, mate, but I think this is coming from Bennett down. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but there's going to be a change in the way things were done at the club.
Yeah, there was rumours about him a couple of weeks ago, but moving on, so I wasn't shocked to hear that just before we come on the podcast. And yeah, it's more change, and it's good because we need change. We need big changes on the park and off the park. Off the park, the changes have happened so far this season. Mulholland he's overseen the youth setup. I know you said there, Carney, something he's brought in £15 million, and is that just Nathan Patterson?
That is Nathan Patterson, mate. That's exactly what it is.
Because it sounds brilliant, £50 million, but that's one player. The B team for me has been not a failure, because it's difficult to get players through the B team, but we've not really seen anyone apart from Parts, and Lowry's the only other one you could maybe think of. But yes, it's another change that I think we need moving forward, Carney. And I'm looking forward to the summertime and what Rangers' plans are going forward, because it's the right route we're going so far in terms of getting rid of guys that have been there for a while now and moving on to the next chapter in Rangers.
Yeah, I agree with that, mate. I do agree with that. Ryan, your initial thoughts on this? I think Ali's right. It's the needing of fresh eyes, the needing of freshness, really throughout the club that is required.
Yeah, he'll be a big figure at Auchenhowie, I'd imagine. Craig Mulholland. I think I'm surprised at how many changes we've had off the pitch in terms of chairman, manager, director, etc. I'm surprised at how many changes we've had. I think it's a really good thing. I'm going to be optimistic about this. I think it's a good thing that we are seeing so many people leaving just now instead of waiting until the summer and then having to get people to settle in or identify the right people. I don't want to focus on what Craig Mulholland's not done. What we do need is fresh ideas in there, because I agree with Ali. We don't see enough coming through that academy. When Advocat was here and we got that, those facilities, we were told how it's state of the art. It's going to produce the next generation. And we had, I think, with Barry Ferguson at the time, he was already through the youth system. But I'll be honest, I've been disappointed with what's come through. And I think I see talent. Like I remember seeing John Fleck when he was young for I think it was the reserves at the time they were called. It was the Rangers reserves. And I've always said there's just something we are not doing right with our youth. We seem to have talent coming through and then they don't push on. And I don't know if it's a culture thing or is it us not giving them a chance. But I'm hoping somebody comes in with fresh ideas. And I know that's not his only job. He's got to oversee the women's team, etc. and departments of the club that I don't probably take an interest in, unfortunately. But I want to see some fresh blood coming through that youth system, and I want to see the next Barry Ferguson, if you want to say that, or the next Nathan Patterson coming through, because with those facilities and the money that's there, we certainly should be seeing that, and I think it's a positive move from the club to get some freshers in.
Yeah, again, I agree. I'd plug along the same lines that I'm shocked at how many changes there has been, and I don't think it will be the last. I think there'll be others that you've probably not even thought about that will kind of get brought up as well over the next coming months. But I think it's an important thing for the club to do. We're not just still on the park, but we're still off the park as well. And all of this is bringing freshness and it's bringing optimism, which is a good thing considering what we are about to go on and speak about, gentlemen. We'll leave that there. We'll move on to Sunday. Rangers lose the semi-final against Celtic by 1-0 at Hampden. A game I had very little expectation about, I'm not going to lie. I was probably going there more than hope than anything else, hoping that we would maybe do something but I didn't really feel it. We weren't great in the first half. We gave away a comedy goal even by our poor defending standards. It was particularly bad. Second half we were better. But like I said on the club reaction pod that we'd done from the pub on Sunday, I'm not here to win. We were a better team in the second half trophy. I have got very little interest in that. I think Celtic were pretty comfortable and they were happy for us to have the ball. And ultimately we were never going to score. Ryan, your initial thoughts on the game overall, mate? Is it a fair assessment what I just said there?
I think you're spot on. Like absolutely spot on with what you say. I think they're happy for us to have the ball. I don't think we're the only team who play like that against us. I think a lot of teams now have kind of worked out what we do, and we try to work the ball to the wings and the deep crosses and Tav and Barisic. We don't offer much else in terms of cutting edge. You can see Cantwell who stepped up and he gives us something different. But when we're attacking, I mean, we're painting the ball here. You could listen to the last podcast, the one before, months before. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So, as Ali says, powder puff, we just don't have it. And teams are willing to take a risk and give us the ball. And I'm the exact same as you. I won't say that. I mean, I'm not going to say Rangers weren't the better team at spells, but I'm the same in terms of you're not happy with that. Oh, we're the best team for 30 minutes trophy. If that was the case, Celtic would have won umpteen trophies in the 90s, because it is literally the 90s reversed at the moment. We look the better team. we hold on to the ball, but you actually know it's coming now. You know it's coming. You know there's going to be a mistake at the back, or we're going to do something stupid, and it's every single game against them, and they know it, and that's the hardest thing to take.
I think that's the hardest thing to take. Ali, what I will say, right, and I'm honestly going to try and be as positive and not fucking go over the top here, but I think you can see there's definitely been a bit of progression, not a huge deal, but in the terms of the way we're approaching Old Firm games under Beale, I think you can see a slight improvement. But I think because we were better in that second half, I don't want that trophy because we've had that trophy already. We've had points in games against Celtic where we were the better team. This was the time to beat Celtic, and ultimately we didn't.
No, the game went exactly. I was the same with you, Carney. I went there in hope, to be honest. But the way the game went, I could have scripted that before the game happened. If I'd written down how this game was going to happen, it'd be like that. Because you just know what's happening. As like you say, we give away stupid. I mean, the goals we give to Celtic in the last couple of games, honestly, it's comedy stuff. And that one we gave at Hampden the weekend, that's worse than schoolboy football up. And then up front, but just toothless up front. We've got nothing up there at all. And yes, we had all the ball the second half, and I thought we looked decent. But I think, like as Ryan says, and you said too, Celtic are happy to give us the ball. They were happy to give us the ball. They can nick it off us because they've got pace with Jota, Maeda, Kyogo. They can hit us in the break. I honestly don't think they really go out to second gear. I don't think they had to go out to second gear. I thought we were good in spells, Rangers, but there was never a point in the game I thought I could feel us scoring. The first half, I always felt they were going to get a goal somewhere. I could just feel it. After about 25 minutes, I just thought they were starting to get a grip of the game, and I thought they're likely to score. And it doesn't help when our defence gift goals like that. It's criminal. But yeah, Beale's he's getting as much as he can out these group of players, can he? But ultimately, these players have failed us continually. So why was it going to change at the weekend there? And it just shows why there's major change needed in the summer.
Yeah, Ryan, in terms of the lineup, I don't think you can really be overcritical of what he chose to play because what else is he meant to do right now, genuinely? There's obviously, we'll come on and speak to a bit more individual players, but would you realistically have done anything different with the starting 11? Would you have, by what's available to him on the bench? Because when you look at the bench, you're kind of going, who do you start there that's over who he's brought in? He's arguably named our strongest squad, maybe not in terms of form right now or anything like that, but ability-wise, he's probably named the strongest squad he could. Apart from Ryan Jack, obviously. Because he's injured.
I think that's the most frustrating thing for us is because there's players on that park who you knew what you were going to get from them on Saturday. You knew you were going to get lacklustre. You knew you were going to get slow. I'm going to say in terms of Tillman, you were hoping not, but you kind of probably knew that's the kind of game he was going to have. And then you look to the bench and there's players who don't want to be there anymore. We have a player on the bench who we all know, everybody knows he's checked out a long time ago before Beale even came. And it's just, I do feel for Beale. I've been critical of Beale, as you know, guys. I've spoke to you in the pub and there's a few red flags for me. But in terms of his team selection, I don't think he can do any more. Again, in hindsight, I always say if you keep going with these failed methods, Ryan Kent, I mean, these players, would you have started Matondo? I know it sounds crazy, or Scott Wright, because Ryan Kent just didn't deserve the place for me on Saturday. And I'm not just, I don't want to just single out any player because collectively they're failing, so they're all responsible. But if you want to be overcritical of Beale, you could say, take a gamble. We all knew we were going to get out of Morelos, Kent, players like that on Sunday. And I think that's maybe the only bit of criticism he could give Beale, but at the same time, he's put his trust in these guys and they've let him down, and I'm sure he'll have let them know that.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. Ali, I'll come to you about Ryan Kent. He was abysmal, mate. Like, honestly, abysmal. I know, obviously, he's a different player in training. I get all that. Beale's not going to be playing him if he looks like his head was down and he wasn't really interested in it. But from what we seen on him on Sunday, mate, that's up there with the worst that I've seen Ryan Kent. I always said that Ryan Kent would show up in an Old Firm game, and 9 times out of 10 I've probably been right about that. And I don't mean he's been great or he set the heather on fire or he's scoring goals, but he's a presence, and Celtic are usually aware of his presence. I generally think I could have marked Ryan Kent on Sunday.
Ryan Kent was atrocious on Sunday there. I put up arguments for Ryan Kent. A lot of folks said Ryan's been harping on about don't play him because he's not going to be here next season. And I would say back to folk like Ryan, well, who else do we play? Do we play Matondo? Do we play Scott Wright? Ryan Kent is the better player. And I honestly thought he's got one last chance, and Morelos will throw him in the same bag as well. One last chance to show a bit of pride and to leave Rangers with their head held high. And I thought he was abysmal that first half. I thought he hid Carney, didn't want the ball. Folk can say, even maybe his can't injury, but if his can't injury, he shouldn't be playing. So I thought he was shocking. That's the worst I've seen Ryan Kent. There was a ball, Cantwell was bursting through the middle with a ball, and there was nobody going with him. I was screaming for Ryan Kent to go out with him. The amount of times Barisic's got the ball on the left-hand side, nowhere near him, nowhere to be seen. I thought he was shocking, and I wasn't shocked to see him hooked at half-time. And moving forward, I would not play Ryan Kent in any Rangers game moving forward after that performance. I thought he let us down as fans, he let his team down, and he, more importantly, let Michael Beale down, because Michael Beale, I think, has backed him. He's known him since he was 15 years of age, and he's let him down big style on Sunday. So for me, thanks for the memories, Ryan, but cheerio, he can go now. For me, he can pack his bag.
Yeah, I concur, mate. I think after Sunday, the way that I felt after leaving the stadium, it was a kind of realisation coming over the top of me where I thought, we can't do this anymore. We can't pretend that it's okay that players aren't. And I know sometimes and people criticise me in the comments for all the time, that I try and not get too negative on players, and I try and see the brighter picture all the time, see the bigger picture all the time. But it's unacceptable, Ryan Kent's standard on Sunday. It really is. It's the end of the road for him.
Oh, it's 100%. It was the end of the road for him after the Parkhead game for me. It was, because I always back Ryan Kent for putting 100% in. I always say he has a bad game in him, or he has a bad run on him. He does, but he always gives 100%. And he's checked out. He's signed a pre-contract, I don't know, or he's agreed verbally. He's checked out with Rangers. It is very evident to see in terms of his body language. And he's not the only one. He's not the only one who's pulling out of tackles and not putting his body on the line anymore. And that is why I said, I don't know, was it 3-4 weeks ago, I was like, when players are like that, and I mean this, we all saw Brian Laudrup in his last season. I used that as an example. And Laudrup had agreed to go to Chelsea, and we saw what we got out of Laudrup that last year. And I'm sure Brian Laudrup probably would own up to that. When you've checked out mentally, we've all been in jobs, and you know you're going to the next job, you're not really busting your gut or emptying the tank. You just got on with it, you're just turning up, and we cannot afford that, especially not in games of that magnitude. And Ryan Kent, I totally agree with Ali. I would not play him for now to end the season, because I'll look back fondly at Ryan Kent and I'll have the memories of him against them and scoring some lovely goals against them. And that performance against Dortmund was magnificent. But I'm starting to get a bit of taste in my mouth with him now, because he's clearly checked out, and I don't want to be bitter against him, because he has been a good player for us. Take the price tag away, he has been a good player for Rangers, but it's starting to leave a bitter taste in the mouth watching him every week.
Yeah, that's the way I felt. A bitter taste is probably a pretty good way to sum it up, mate. That's the way I felt. I thought there was actually a point as well that I forgot he was on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? I forgot that he was back in the team, and I was like, what's Kent? Kent's not done anything. And that, obviously, when you're watching an old film, you're kind of in the heat of the moment. And I was like, he's not actually done anything. And yeah, even the one you didn't mention, Raskin was busting forward as well when he was kind of heading out towards the left. And I'm like, where is Ryan Kent? Why is he not there? Do you know what I mean? It was just such a poor performance from him, and it just looks like a guy that now knows that his future doesn't lie with Rangers. But it was completely unacceptable for me. Malik Tillman, I'll come back to you, Ryan. You briefly mentioned him when I first came to you, mate. Obviously, he went off injured. Arfield replaces him, and it made an impact. I thought Arfield could probably put yourself name in the hat for being one of our better players on Sunday. But is Tillman's future at Rangers now, especially as well that we're strongly linked with a Norwich player called Kieran Dowell, and he's another one if we can keep him fit, apparently, from all reports. But he's meant to be a pretty decent player. But he is in that area where Tillman would be playing. I don't think Rangers are going to put the money forward for Tillman.
I don't think you'll see Malik Tillman in a Rangers shirt again, mate. I think that's it. I don't see him playing for Rangers again. I think I've always had a feeling that he's maybe not overly up for signing anyway. I don't know if it's his persona, the way in interviews when he's asked about it, he's quite reserved in terms of I'll be up to Bayern and Rangers to discuss that. He's never really, I don't believe he's never really said, I want to be here. I love it here. He's never really said that. And again, that might be
I don't know if he could though, because obviously Bayern are his parent club. Yeah. So like he is still a Bayern player, so he can't turn around and go, I don't want to play for Bayern, I want to play for Rangers. So I know what you mean though. I do know what you mean.
He's never really convinced me in that side of things. With his play, Malik Tillman's a great player. He is. I know he's not turned up at Old Firm games. I've watched this boy all season and I can see him being a top player one day. I know this sounds crazy. I'm not saying like Premier League top 4, but I can see him being a really good player one day. But Scotland's a different place. We've seen so many players come here and fail, and I worry Tillman's not got that fight in him to dig out a game and to be a bit dirty and play in these games where there isn't much football played. I think we need a player like that. And £5 million is a lot of money for us to take a gamble on someone who does just turn up in the smaller games, if you want to call them that. That's a gamble for us, and it's a gamble we can't take, Carney. I think we need to be looking at players who are established, who are ready to go, and who will put a performance in and will lay a glove on that lot. And you will get a player for that for $5 million or less. You just need to scout well, you need to do your research well and identify the right players. And I think between that and Tillman, whether he wants to stay or not, I think the result of that will be the end of Tillman at Rangers, I think.
Yeah, Ali, I muttered the words to my dad when Tillman went off. I said to my dad, that'll be the last you see Malik Tillman in a Rangers shirt, because I just had that feeling of, I think that's another one that's just come to an end. He hasn't shown up in Old Firm games, mate. There's no getting away from it. I'm the same as Ryan. I've got no doubt he's a quality football player. Absolutely zero doubt about it. I think he's got all the ability in the world. He could really kick on and do a real good turn for a team, and at a good level, like a really good level. I do believe that is the case. But just with this link, mate, it looks pretty inevitable that we've signed Kieran Dowell. It does look like it's happening. So I just feel like in that area, with Lawrence to come back and Hadji and everybody else is still there, I don't think there's a space for Malik Tillman now due to the outlay that we would need to put down. And ultimately, mate, he hasn't performed in an Old Firm since he's been here.
No, he's not. I didn't think he was bad on Sunday. Just before it, he was nicking the ball a couple of times, drove it. But again, I just don't think he's a player that's going to make the difference for us in these games, and we need players like that. In a business sense, if we sign Malik Tillman for $5 million, I think we'd make money on him. But we need footballers in that's going to hit the ground running next season, and guys that are going to, as Ryan was going about when we play Celtic, we need big players, and he's not done it for me. He's not done it in other big games as well, and I agree, £5 million is a lot of money for us to shell out, and I think we could spend it better because, well, Beale said how many players that are potentially coming in this summer window, so that $5 million I think we could spend better elsewhere. So yes, I agree. I don't know how bad his injury was, but I don't think we'll see Malik Tillman in a Rangers jersey going forward.
Well, I mean, Rangers Twitter was full of "there's nothing wrong with him." He's chucked it. He doesn't want to be there, which I think's pretty harsh because I think you could see the reaction in his face that he was pretty gutted to hag off, and he did try and continue, but obviously we don't know what it is yet. We've not heard from Beale in that sense, so that will all come out in the wash, I suppose. Ryan, before we go any further and speak about other players, I have to talk about the goal. Unfortunately, mate. for our levels, mate, of the poor, pathetic goals that we've been letting in this season, this is up there with the absolute best of them, if not the best. I can't understand our desire to let Celtic score a goal or to just hand it to them on a plate. I mean, they're the highest scoring team in this league by an absolute mile. They've got no problem scoring goals, but we decide, oh no, let's all just stop playing football for 5 seconds and let a guy that's probably, 5 yards further away than any other Rangers player, and there's players that are only 3 or 4 yards away from the ball initially, get to that ball first and cross it to the back post. James Tavernier is sleeping all day long. He is sleeping, and it's as easy as you like for Jota to head that in. The standard of that goal, mate, is it's pathetic.
It is amateur hour. It's really a joke. I said I wouldn't get frustrated with them on Sunday because I was going with my head being like, I know what's going to come. They'll beat us. I'll just go on my day and I'll have a nice, relaxing Sunday. And then that goal happened and I went absolutely berserk. I could not believe... I couldn't believe them. But I don't know why I should be surprised because it just sums us up with our attitude. Why are we not playing to whistle? Why are they reacting faster than us? Why do we have so many defenders in the box and they can't mark the guy that scores it? It's just that I'm not going to single out any of them. Collectively, once again, it's a comedy show. And I said to a guy at my work, a Hearts fan, he said, do you fancy your chances on Sunday? And I said, we'll concede a goal from a cross ball and either the right back or the left back will lose his man and they'll score. And he said to me when I walked in at work this morning, he said, unbelievable. I said, it's not a hard thing to predict. That's teams target us now. And I know we're going to go on to it, but teams target us down the wings now. But that's one thing, but just giving them the ball like that is... and it's the ownership as well. I don't know if you guys have noticed. I don't know who it is. It might be Lundstrom, I can't remember, but there's 2 of them standing with their hands, like just looking at each other. And again, we've seen this 100 times. No ownership, nobody putting a hand up, or no, they all look at each other as if what went wrong there, and it's just collectively they're very, very poor, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't blame one player for that either, mate. I don't think you can. Obviously, as Ali, you break it down a wee bit. Raskin shouldn't stop. I know he thinks it's a foul, and it probably is a foul. Let's not lie, it probably is a foul. But again, it's irrelevant. You don't just stand with your hands up. If the referee doesn't blow for the whistle, you go for that ball. Barisic is kind of looking at Raskin as if to say, that's a nice pose. I might copy you and do that pose with you. Maida just reacts. It's just a simple of, well, the whistle's not went, so why are we all stopping looking at each other? And Tavernier is still watching Raskin as the ball comes into the box and then realises, oh, there's Jota about 2 yards in front of me. It's just unacceptable, mate. And that's one of the biggest things that Beale has to sort out is our absolute inability to not concede a goal that is our fault.
Yeah. I feel sorry for Michael Beale at times because the minute goals we concede, he can't do anything about that.
As a coach, he must be going, "Are you kidding on?" Like,
especially after the game at Parkhead where we gifted 2 goals, he would have been saying to them, "Look, you need to cut this out and for us to give a goal like that away, Kai, just before half time as well." I mean, for them, it was the best time for them to score. Not that our stuffing out us, I thought, but. It's schoolboy stuff. I mean, I went in the toilet at half-time, Carney. There was a guy behind me shouting about, I can't believe we did that. And I turned around and went, have you watched Rangers all season? I can. It's not a surprise to me. But it's poor. It's poor from all the players in the park, Carney. Raskin, Barisic looking at each other, Tav sleeping at a back post. But Celtic are alive they're always alive. I mean, even the 2 goals at Parkhead when we were passing the ball back and that, they're always alert. We're not. And you can't give it, like you say, Carney, the biggest, well, how many, I don't know how many goals Celtic have scored in the league this season, but it's a fair whack, and you can't give teams like that opportunities like that, and they jumped on it. It was a decent ball by that Maida, and Jota, 5 foot over he was, just not in the back of the net. It was, it's not a shock to me. It wasn't a shock to me. I just knew we would do something like that, and it knocked the stuffing out of Rangers support as well because we kind of knew we had to score the first goal, Carney. And when they scored the first goal, deep down I thought, nah, we're not scoring.
I've harped on about it. I don't know how long I've been harping on the fact that if we concede first, we won't win the game against Celtic, and it was right. And I think that was my biggest frustration at the time and when it was. And you could feel the air going out every Rangers fan in the place. Everybody was just like, I can't believe we've just done that again. And it's something that you're just going to continue to see until Beale really works hard to stamp it out. Whether that's going to be change of personnel, we'd have with Barisic, with Davis even, strong rumours that Davis is going to be getting moved on as well. So I think there's going to be change in that department, but it's going to need to happen. It is going to need to happen. And for once, I can't really blame Alan McGregor. He exactly can't come for that ball with the way it's been played. So yeah, very disappointing, very disappointment. Second half, Beale did start flinging stuff at a wall and hoping it was something was going to stick for him, but I can't say I blame him. I honestly can't, because the players that were on that pitch were ultimately letting us down. We've seen Sakala came on. We've seen Yilmaz, Matondo, and Hadji. And it brings me to the man of the moment, Ryan, Fashion Sakala. The miss, mate. That's it for me. I am completely done. I don't think he deserves to be here. Stats, yes, whatever. That people looking back and say the stats about all that. Ultimately, for me, mate, he's not good enough to play for this football team. He's far too erratic. You can't miss 2 chances like that in your Rangers career and get away with it. So for me, I'm completely done. He should be moved on.
Yeah, he's thrown it right in my face, because I think the last time I was on, I was saying, you just persevere with Sakala. This is what you get. You get the misses, you get the erratic, you get... Nah, it's not good enough. The first time he did it, he's had a shocker. It happens. That was unacceptable, and that's what you get with Fashion Sakala. Apparently, he's popular, and apparently there are clubs waiting to take him. Do business, Rangers, cash in and let him go. We got him for free. If there's somebody willing to pay money for him, all the best, Fashion. All the best. Honestly, he's a nice fella. He's gave us some laughs at times. He's scored some nice goals. If someone is willing to pay money for him, goodbye.
Yeah, 100%. Yes,
I'm trying to be nice.
I know. The thing is, though, right, and it's nothing against him personally. You can't. I've said that a million times as well. I can't fault somebody for not having the ability in order to be a good football player. Like I can't criticise somebody for that. His effort's great. Yes, he's a lovely guy, but ultimately, Ali, he isn't good enough to play for Rangers, and we can't continue down the road of having players that are okay. He might score, other times he might miss. We can't have that. We need people. We need ruthless attackers, mate. Is what we need.
Yeah, he's not good enough to start for Rangers for me. I think me and Scotia have said I could see him as a squad player, but would I be disappointed if he moved in the summer? No, I wouldn't. If somebody come in with money, I'd move him on. But at the same time, if he's still there next season as a squad player, I wouldn't be overly disappointed as long as we bring in other strikers to play ahead of him. If at the weekend, I mean, to do it once at Hampden, it happens, as Ryan says. It can happen as a footballer, but to do it twice, and this was worse. This one, I mean, I was right behind it when I was sitting. It was slow motion when it happened. I just couldn't believe it. Like all of us beside me just actually sat down and went, "Not again," honestly. But there was a couple of chances he did, Carney, that I remember a good bit of play. We came out for your back, moved the ball lovely, went up the park, and came to Sakala, edge of the box, and he just balloons it right up into the stand, nowhere near the goal. Another one.
He put it out for a throw, mate.
This is another one. This, if you look
the
back
other
at the
one.
highlights, he balloons one nearly out the stand, and the one you're on about where it goes out for.
This is all in the one game.
This is all the one game. Yeah, he's got no composure. He's got absolutely zero composure in front of goal. Yeah, now and again when he's not got time to think about it, he scores the old worldie and he looks brilliant. But we can't rely on Fashion Sakala. We can't. And it's not difficult going forward this season as well. We've got Morelos, who for me, I don't play Morelos going forward either, but Sakala's the only guy we've got as a striker at the moment, unless Cholak's all of a sudden fit. So we might have to see more of Sakala in the next 5 games because, well, you'll probably come on to him, Carney. So, but in terms of Sakala, he's just not good enough. He's not good enough, and that's it. He's just simply not good enough. As a squad player, aye, but as a first team player for Rangers to depend on, no.
I know it's very unrealistic due to the way we play football, but I'm sick of the term squad player. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sick of it. I'm not expecting us to turn into Man City, like, and have like 22 starters in your squad, but we need at least 18 starters, guys that can play every game, and you don't notice the dip from them playing and somebody else playing. I know that's pie in the sky stuff. I know where we play football, and I know the kind of finances behind that, but that's what we need to be aiming for. We can't be aiming for, oh, he's just a decent squad player, like your Scott Wrights, like your Hadji even now, because we don't know what he's actually going to be like when he's fully fit. But I think we need to move away from that term, Ryan.
100%. I honestly agree with you. You look at that lot, and I hate doing this, but I can't help myself just now. You look at that lot across there, they're bringing almost like for like on, and they actually let a striker away. Was it January, that Giacomakis or Giamakis, what we call him? They let him away, and he was he was as good as anybody we've got up front, and they let him go because they've got Kyogo. They brought another boy, and I've not really seen much of him. They've got it all over the pitch. They've got like for like. They've got replacements there. They let Juranovic let him go. Brought this boy Johnson and he's running. First Old Firm game, he's laughing at the crowd, gets it straight in. It's just good scouting and identifying players that you can afford in your bracket. So I don't think it's unrealistic for you to say you need 18 players who can play every week. I don't think that is unrealistic. I know what you're saying because we're in Scotland, but you just need to target the right market. And that's what Beale and his team need to do in the summer.
Ultimately, that's where Ross Wilson has failed at his job as well. That's as clear as day now that we have too many that are just squad players. And here's a positive for you. Ross Wilson isn't here anymore, and there's a new regime taking control of the club, which I am excited about. I am excited to see what their ideas are. I do think we're getting to the point now where you're like, right, let's have a conversation, or let's hear what their thoughts are going forward. I think it's important to keep the fans on side right now, considering that our season's over and we're only in the second day of May. So I think it's sooner rather than later. I think the club should be coming out and doing that. Bennett should be having his say. Bisgrove should be having his say, and give the fans even more optimism going forward. We should be looking really forward to next season and what the summer comes. And I am looking forward to seeing what Beale decides to do. I really am. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen. We'll come to that very, very shortly. We've spoken about everybody pretty much. Cantwell, Raskin and Lundstrom. All of them I thought they were decent enough, honestly. It's probably the best we've seen Lundstrom in once, but again, it's not one that I'm going to say, oh, that's it, John Lundstrom's back. But I thought he was better than what we've seen previously from him. I thought it was a decent performance by him, but again, it's all irrelevant because our front line was posted missing the entire game. Ali, I think you made a point of it earlier on, mentioned that Beale has made comment that there's going to be as many as a dozen that could be going and a dozen that could be coming in. Obviously, Kent and Alfie, I think we all agree that we've probably seen the last of them. But realistically, mate, who stays in this team now? Or is it easier to go through the ones that you think we should move on? Because even if you look at the start 11, for example, like McGregor, Tavernier, Goldson, Davis, Barisic, Lundstrom, Raskin, Cantwell, and then the bench, obviously we spoke about Morelos and Kent. Then the bench was Hadji, Matondo, Arfield, Kamara, Yilmaz, Suter, McLaughlin and Wright. And it looks like reports today on Heart and Hand that McLaughlin and Scott Wright have been told that they can go, but you are getting to the point where you're like, I could probably count on one hand who I think would actually be at like the term we just said, a starter for this team.
Yeah, well, I think we'll see the same guys. Goldson will be there next season as a starter for me.
Tav will be there.
Tav, I know.
Whether you agree with it or not,
I know he will be there. Tav, I'm pretty sure he'll start as the right back. Raskin and Cantwell. That's it. 4 guys for me. That's it. Barisic, I think we would move Barisic on if we can. In the summer, I think Barsic's been all right this season, to be honest. Yilmaz come on obviously on Sunday there. I think we should be giving Yilmaz a run from now at the end of the season. I think he should play every game now. But yeah, that's the 4 players for me, Karen. I'm trying to think of anyone else, but yeah, that's it. Those 4 guys. Ryan Jack, it's a discussion whether we give him a contract in the summer or not. But yeah, I don't see Ryan Jack as a first-team player next season. I see him as a guy that can come in and out and do a job for us. But those 4 guys, that's it. And you look at that, and 2 of them I've named are 2 guys that came in January. I think you look at the Celtic team that played us in the League Cup final, and I think they mentioned their team that started compared to the previous League Cup final I think we played, they had like 1 or 2 players left from that team, and we had about 9 players or something. So we're in a very similar transition to what they did. So, yeah, those 4 players for me.
Yeah, Ryan, he's probably right, Ali. I think realistically, I think Goldson will be there, Tav will be there, Lundstrom will be there. I don't think he'll get moved on. I think arguably though he's a form of asset that we could claw some money back on due to him in the last year of his contract. Raskin and Cantwell. And yeah, you kind of gonna go for after that. You're kind of, I'm not really sure. And you enter the grey area, and then you enter obviously the area where you're like, no, 100% he should be moved on. The job on hand here is a massive one, but I'm not going to lie, it does excite me. Generally, it does. I think it's a huge job, but with the way that the club are talking now, the way Beale's talking, the way Bisgrove has made comment today in that statement, I'm going, right, okay, we're beginning to turn a screw here, and I'm hoping the optimism doesn't lead to disappointment.
It excites me as well, but I think this is where we should have been this time last year. I think Van Bronckhorst deserved the clear out because we all knew, in a way, Europe was not a noose round our leg, but it kind of was detrimental to Van Bronckhorst because we were so poor domestically. I think everybody forgot how poor we were domestically last year because we got to Seville. And we needed this clear out last season, mate. I think, I'll be honest, I think I texted Ali, or I phoned Ali maybe a couple of months into the season, and I said, I'm concerned about us. I'm concerned about this team. There just doesn't look a bite about them. I know it's early on in the season, but I'm worried that we're not going to win anything. I seen it straight away, and I just felt that we looked stale and just exactly the way we were the previous season. So this is much needed. However, the job is huge. And Michael Beale can't do this himself. I think he needs a director of football. He needs someone else to help him. He needs a scouting department to be on it. They need to have players ready to sign, and they need to be first teamers. To touch on your point earlier about squad players, we can't be getting rid of like Scott Wright and Joe McLaughlin and Hadji, name a lot of all these players, and then bringing in squad players again. We need to be signing quality, whether it's players who are on a Bosman and or whatever it is. Or we're spending money, we need to sign first team players. There's no getting away for that. We need a huge recruitment. And if you look at, again, what Postecoglou did in one window, it can be done, mate. You just need to make sure you're shopping it in the right market.
Yeah, I think the club will spend. I say, don't listen to the howls of the moon howlers. There is going to be money to spend. I think the board know that they're going to need to spend money. There's going to need to be investment. But again, that probably leads back to the question about spending the $5 million on Tillman, which I don't think will happen now, because I think you could possibly get 2 players for that, possibly 3 as well. And plus, I reckon Tillman would expect quite a decent wage, because I'd imagine Bayern Munich are paying him a pretty hefty wage as it stands. But what also I think is important is the players that are going to move on, Kent, Morelos especially, that's high wages that you're getting back. And I know we're not getting a fee back for them, but you are freeing up a wage bill to that extent of you could be signing a pretty decent player for that amount of money, in terms of by paying them per week through Bosmans or whatever else like that. So I do think there is definitely optimism will begin to build once we start making signings, once we're linked, and obviously once we hear from the board. Alex, before we finish up, your expectations for the rest of the season, mate? I fully expect to see some youth. I fully expect to see players that have maybe been on the fringes or their decisions haven't quite been made yet. I reckon a lot of players already know their future, whether they're going to stay here or not. They will have been told now. But I do expect to see Lowry, especially, I expect him to see come into the team. Yilmaz, yeah, I think one of them. Matondo, generally, I'm not making a joke here. I expect to see Matondo get a run in the team. Are you along the same lines of that? And Hadji as well. You're going to need to get him fit. So he's got 5 games for a pre-season, really.
Yeah, Morelos and Kent for me don't play for Rangers again. And I know we don't have strikers at the moment, but Morelos for me, no, he doesn't start for me. So strap yourself in for fast as a car. No, but Morelos doesn't start. I agree. The goalkeeping situation, if McCrory is fit, give him a game, put him in. Yilmaz has to start every game to the end of the season for me. Give him a run. Boy Lowry, I'd throw him in. Matondo, I agree with you, Carney. I'd play Matondo every game end of the season as well. Hadji needs minutes. I'm scraping about who else is there. Young Devine maybe has a go.
Yeah.
Suter back in possibly. Yep, so definitely. I expect changes. I expect changes on Sunday. So when we go to Aberdeen, I know we've still got Club Live to do, but when we play Aberdeen on Sunday, I expect a lot of changes from the team I've seen at the weekend. And like you say, we've got 5 games to do. I know we play Celtic in 2 weeks as well, and Beale might think, did I bring these guys back because it's one last chance of beating Celtic? I don't think you bring the guys back. I think they've failed them too many times. So, yes, it's let's bring these guys in, Carney, and give them a chance because they're owed a chance, especially Yilmaz and Matondo going forward. I thought Matondo's been all right since he's come on.
He's been all right.
He's not.
But is that the standard of the rest of the team that we're seeing just now? Do you know what I mean? You've got that argument as well.
I know. But he needs to be given a chance under Beale. So for me, he plays the final 5 games, and so does Yilmaz. So that'll be interesting Sunday to see what the team lineup is. But as what it is, the end of the season, they are dead rubbers. I know the Old Firm's in 2 weeks, but I mean, I'll be there as always backing them. But the summer for me is, I'm looking forward to summer for change.
Yeah, and a break. and a break. Yeah. Ryan, you along the same lines though. Beale has to be brave now. He has to be. These players will have been told. I do expect fully that the ones that are not going to be here will have been told they're not going to be here. So it's up to the ones that there's maybe a question mark over to be given their chance.
Aye, there's hungrier players at Ibrox than the players that we've been seeing on the pitch every week. I think I've been screaming for these type of changes for weeks now, but I understand why Beale hasn't done it, because he can't exactly, even though us as fans we've written the league off a good while ago, he can't really be seen doing that. So I understand why he's not made those huge changes. I think going forward for now to end the season, I would like to see Beale be cutthroat and shows what he is made of and shows that it's not any of the Pals Act or a kind of statement like maybe Kent not being in the squad or Alfredo Morelos not being in the squad or both. And I would like to see Zach Lovelace just give him a run out. There's nothing to lose. Yep. He's played with Millwall first team before. I know he's young, but just give him a shot. There's 3 hits for now to end the season. So players like that, I agree, Lowry, etc., Devine, let Devine play. Like, when are you going to play him if you don't play him now? So I want to see big changes from now to the end of the season, and I think this to support Ibrox, we are crying out for freshness to see something different, because we're all feeling it when we're going to Ibrox. We're going to see the same story, the same play every week, and just if we just got a wee bit of light, whether it is Divine or whether it is Lovelace or whether it is something fresh, and you just let us just enjoy a bit of football from now to the end of the season. That's what I would like to do, because it has been a slog for the supporters this season, mate, and that's not in Beale. That's not in Beale at all, but he's definitely got the cards to just give us a wee bit something for now at the end of the season, and shows what you're going to be about if you can be ruthless and make these cuts.
100%. I agree with that wholeheartedly, mate. And talking about the slog, I think we mentioned in the other podcast we talked about Lawrence, and I was like, that seems like about 3 seasons ago that he was playing for us, and it kind of shows you how long this year has been for us. So yeah, that will do us for tonight. There was wee bits of positivity in that. We weren't full negative, but what do you expect right now? Honestly, what do you expect for tonight? Alistair, thanks very much, mate.
No problem. We'll be back on Friday as we preview Aberdeen. Interested to see his presser, Beale, in terms of availability of players and what's happening moving forward. So yes, I will be back on Friday.
Magic. And Ryan, good to have you back, mate.
Thanks, mate. Good to be back. Hoping it'll be a better result this weekend. Hopefully we get a result and a bit of a performance from different players. But yes, I'll be back on Friday, mate. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, looking forward to it as well. We'll do what we can to pick as much positivity as we can at the rest of this season, and hopefully we do see the changes that we're all hoping for, and these players do get a chance. So just before you go, as always, please do like the video, please do subscribe to the channel. That would be fantastic. We will be back on Friday with Club Live as always. So until then, enjoy the rest of your week. We are Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. Cheers, everybody.